What's up YouTube, this is Jabber Tech. So today we're doing another video, and today's video is the Note 9, and I'm going to give you my reasons why I am not buying it. But if you do buy it, it's going to be a beast of a phone, no doubt about that. You're going to absolutely love it if that's something that you're looking for. So I'm not here to say that it's a crappy phone when it definitely is not. It's the best phone that Samsung has to offer, but it doesn't have that wow factor that I was looking for and that a lot of us were looking for, especially us that had the Note 8, or maybe you have the S9 or S9 Plus. But if you coming from an older device like the S7, or you just never had a Note line and you really want it, it's definitely going to be a great phone. But let's go ahead and talk about why, if you do have one of Samsung's newest phones, you probably don't want to buy it. And number one is going to be the processor. The processor right now is an 845, and it's been out for quite some time. So the S9 line was the first phone to come out with the 845, and that was awesome. I think it was a great idea. But now we're like 6 months into it, and the Note series is going to have the same processor. It was rumored that maybe there would be a special processor for it, but that didn't happen. So you might want to think about that, because in another 6 months your processor is going to be outdated. And that brings me to a fact that I think Samsung should release the Note and the S line at the same time. And that's just because I don't see the point to having a smaller, a mid-range, and then a larger phone. So when I say mid-range, I'm talking about the screen, small, mid, and large. I just don't see it. I think that they should just release both phones at the same time and be like, hey, you want a larger phone? Here's the Note line. You want the smaller one? Here's the S line. So the smaller one could be a 6.2, and then the larger one could be the 6.4. It doesn't have to be the 5.8. But I'm just saying, for example, I don't think there's really a need for 3 different variations. But the whole main point is, I think the Note line should be, and it used to be, the best that Samsung had to offer. And usually it is in terms of like features and everything thrown in there. But in terms of the processor, it's a little outdated. Another thing I want to mention is a lot of people made a lot of hoo-ha about Samsung releasing 128 on a phone as base. But let's keep in mind, 128 has been around for quite some time. OnePlus has done it. The Pixel 2 XL came out with 128, and here in the US we really didn't get bigger options. I know elsewhere you guys did get bigger options. Now they just released the S9 and 128, I think like a month ago or 2 months ago here in the US. But starting off with 128 is a great idea, but I don't think everyone should have got so excited about that. And the upgraded RAM is great from 6 to 8. So that's really a nice improvement. But again, you are spending $1,100 after tax, or $1,300 on a product. So it's a lot of money, and Samsung should give you a lot for that money. So another thing I want to bring up is the S Pen. The Bluetooth S Pen just did not do it for me. I know they spent a lot of time showing us that you can take selfies with the S Pen, and they sort of made that a big deal. I don't know why they made that a big deal when you can just get a Bluetooth shutter button for about $1 on eBay. And it does the same thing, but Samsung decided to show us on stage how people can take selfies with the Bluetooth pen. I mean, that's great if that's what you want to do, but that's a lot of money just to take a selfie with a Bluetooth pen. And if you are into presentations and you do a lot of presenting and whatnot, this might really be helpful for you, but I personally don't do that, and I'm an average consumer, and I think most of us are average consumers. So the S Pen is a lot of fun in the beginning, and the novelty does wear off, but I think they definitely should have given us something a little bit more in terms of wow factor. And it is pretty cool that the S Pen wirelessly charges in the silo there. Like 1 minute of charge gives you 30 minutes of usage. I don't know how they do that. It's probably a really, really tiny battery, but that's super cool that it charges. And it's super cool that once the battery drains, you can still use it as a normal S Pen. You just can't use the Bluetooth features. So it is innovative. I'm not saying it's not innovative, but it doesn't have that wow factor. And another reason you probably should not get it is the fingerprint scanner. Now they did redesign it again, and they put it a little higher, and it's like a different shape than the S line. It's horizontal and whatnot. But why can't they just give us a fingerprint scanner in the middle of the phone and make it round and call it a day? I think that's the best placement. From the phones that I've had, that's been the one that I enjoy using the most. And the fingerprint scanner wow factor will be coming next year. We already saw prototypes of Qualcomm's ultrasonic fingerprint scanner under the glass. So that's going to be coming out on the S10 faux show, 100% that's coming out. So I would wait for that. We kind of got that rumor that the Note 9 would have that under display fingerprint scanner. Obviously it didn't happen, so that's another reason why you might want to wait. because you know when that does come out and you can just unlock your phone from anywhere, you're going to want to upgrade. So why spend $1,000 now? Put your money in the bank, save your pennies, get that interest, and buy the phone next year that's going to have that wow factor. Keep in mind, it is the 10th anniversary of the S line, so S10 is going to be a big deal for sure. You know they're going to come out with something crazy, and that just means the Note 10 is going to have something crazy, maybe even crazier. So I would say this year is a skip it kind of year. Definitely a skip it kind of year in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think about that. The next thing I want to talk about is the cameras. Now the cameras are a slight improvement. They do have that AI cam in there, so whether or not Samsung will trickle that down to the rest of the devices, it's really up in the air. We know how Samsung is about giving older phones newer features, so maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't get it. Who really knows with Samsung? But the camera, although it is a slight improvement, it's really not super major that you have to run out and buy it. It's not like it's going to change your life in terms of photography. Will it help? It definitely will help a little bit, but is it worth that price tag? I don't think so. And then finally, my next reason is, and I know a lot of you get on my case about this, but we're no longer spending $500 or $600 on a phone these days. Software updates. So I harp on this a lot because we're spending a lot of money on these phones these days. $1,000, at least to me, is a lot of money. Maybe not to you, and if it's not, that's awesome. Let me know what you do, and I'm going to do it too. But $1,000, $1,300, we should require these companies to give us more in terms of software updates. Just because it's the industry standard to give us 2 years doesn't mean that we have to be okay with it. We can vote with our wallets. We can sort of reach out to Samsung on Twitter and whatnot and tell them like, hey, at least give us 3 years now, because you're charging so much more for the phone. I'm going to keep it much longer. I would like to have more software updates. And if you don't agree with me on software updates, let me know in the comments below. But that also brings me to part 2 of the updates, and that's the frequency of these updates. So the Note 9 right now has the best Android Oreo, but it probably won't see Pie until June of next year, 2019. And by that time, the next iteration of Android will be out. So right now you might have the best and the greatest, but even in 2-3 months when Android releases an update, you're not going to get it. So to me, they should, if they're not going to give us longer software updates, I think they should give us faster software updates. Look at OnePlus. They give us really fast updates. Look at the Essential phone. The Essential phone is such a tiny company, and really they're dead in the water right now. I don't even think they're releasing an Essential 2, and they've already updated their phone to Android Pie. So Samsung, this multi-billion-dollar corporation with tons of engineers, software designers, blah, 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 they could definitely give us updates a lot faster, but that's just my gripe. Maybe it's not your gripe. A lot of you don't care about updates. That's fine too. But let me know in the comments below, are you buying the Note 9? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? But I personally am waiting for that wow factor before I shell out, $1,000, $1,300, and then you got to buy cases, you got to buy screen protectors, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a lot of money. So before I go ahead and hand them that bag of cash, I want to make sure it's worth it. I want to make sure that this phone is going to change my life, and this is just not doing it for me. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you guys in another video.